It's growing. The biomedical industry in Northeast Ohio is growing for several reasons. First, it's had the benefit of a long-term coordinated effort. So if you go back a little over a decade, you had a combination of public, private, and philanthropic forces coming together, identifying that biomedical was an important economic driver for the region and beginning to invest in it very strategically and in a very focused way. So everything from tech transfer at Case Western Reserve University to Cleveland Clinic Innovations, leading into the start of Jumpstart and this great entrepreneurial ecosystem that we've started. And then for BioEnterprise, where we've been focused very much on attracting capital into Northeast Ohio. So it's been an effort over time. And then at the end of the day, the things that you absolutely have to be successful, sources of great ideas, and we're fortunate to have world-class institutions. You need very committed, dedicated, smart entrepreneurs. And so we've had these basic building blocks, and now we're beginning to see the fruits that can be harvested out of that effort over time. I think so. Within biomedical, you have legacy clusters like medical imaging, which have seen strong development and growth over the last 10 years. So going back to Picker, which was acquired by Hitachi, which was acquired by Philips, you have a legacy in the region in manufacturing R&D that's led us to be one of the top 2 or 3 spots in the U.S. for medical imaging. Obviously, with the Cleveland Clinic being the national leader in cardiovascular for the last 20 years, we've developed a very nice cluster, not only in medical devices used in cardiovascular surgery and things like that, but also services, things like Cleveland Heart Labs related to creating diagnostic tools that feed into that strength. And then finally, over the last couple of years, we've seen this real boom in health IT and IT-enabled related technologies. So everything from pharmacy benefits to big data, companies like Exploris, which is a Cleveland Clinic spin-out, making a big data play acquired by IBM. We had EnvisionRx, which is a pharmacy benefits and services company acquired by Rite Aid. In fact, it's been our first multi-billion-dollar exit. So it's been those kinds of sectors that have really driven the growth over the last 10 years or so. Yeah, again, it's really driven in a large part by the strength of our clinical and research institutions. So you have organizations like Case and the Clinic and university hospitals where you have clinical investigators and clinical scientists who are innovating the next medical devices, the next drug development opportunities within the region. You also have probably at least half our deal flow just comes from entrepreneurs in the neighborhood. So I think this is really a sign of the robustness and health of the biomedical cluster, that it's not only based on the institutional strength, but now we're seeing entrepreneurs. So again, EnvisionRx was 2 gentlemen involved, pharmacists, who got that company up and running. And again, it's a $2 billion exit, over $5 billion in revenue. So a great success story, but something that was just 2 entrepreneurs solving a problem they saw every day in the work they did. So I think if you go back 10 years, we were seeing 3 or 4 healthcare deals attracting $30 million in investment. We might see 1 or 2 exits in any given year. Now within the biomedical sector, you see anywhere between 40 and 50 companies receiving up to $250 million, almost even in some years $400 million in investment, and we're seeing consistently 6 or 7 exits. And the acquiring companies are Rite Aid and IBM, these big nationally known brands. So I think over the last decade or so, there's been about 47 total exits, and our run rate's gone from 2 or 3 in any given year, now hitting consistently 5, 6, even 7 exits in a year. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're already seeing companies, Population Genetics, which came out of the UK, moving here to be part of what's going on in Cleveland on the health tech corridor. If you look over the last decade, over $2 billion of private investment has been made into biomedical startups here. A mix of equity and debt investment, and of that money, probably 85% or more of it comes from outside of Ohio. So there's fantastic interest from the coast, from international investors to be putting their money to work in Cleveland, because I think they see the same thing that we see here every day, which is you have these wonderful companies who are attacking great market opportunities with potentially life-saving new devices, innovations, technology plays, and they want to be a part of that. So I think that's one thing that everyone should feel great about is it's not only us feeling good here in Cleveland about the progress that we're seeing, but money talks. So you're seeing capital flow from around the world to go to work here and see a return here. So when we started out about 10 years ago, we really looked to Research Triangle Park in North Carolina, and we looked to Minneapolis as two areas that had similar sets of assets. And again, we used to see 2-3 deals, maybe $30 million coming in. They would see 25 deals, $150 million coming in. And so those were the two benchmarks that we looked at. And we've been tracking in the Midwest for about a decade now across probably 10 states or so, the amount of capital flowing in. Typically Ohio in the last 3 or 4 years is the #1 state for investment, with Cleveland trading off of Minneapolis as the #1 region. So last year Cleveland attracted $398 million in capital. Minneapolis attracted about $403 million, so they just got us. In the first 6 months of 2015, we had $104 million, and we're out ahead of Minneapolis so far. So I think it's if you pick one benchmark in the Midwest that we look to, it would be Minneapolis, and we're trading ahead of Chicago, St. Louis, other cities that have also been very active in the biomedical space. There's probably a couple big projects that I call the symptoms of our success, right? So one is the Health Tech Corridor, which connects downtown from the Cleveland State University campus district out to University Circle, with Case, the clinic, UH at that end. It's about 1,600 acres. And over the last probably 3 or 4 years, we've seen north of $500,000 square feet of new mixed-use space, lab space, office space open up. It's over 85% occupied now, and we're seeing new developments kind of get announced every 3 or 4 months. And so it's really a very dense geography connecting two important parts of Cleveland, and it's slowly filling up with both biomedical and technology companies as well. And then the other project is the Global Center for Health Innovation. And so it's attached to our new convention center. It's about 250,000 square feet of showcase space, meeting space, and it really is a portal to and from the world for Cleveland. So when folks come into the convention center for biomedical related meetings, they're using space in the Global Center. They're then able to connect not only to what's happening downtown, but drive right down the road and see what's happening at the Cleveland Clinic and University hospitals, a couple world-class healthcare delivery systems. And then for us, it's a home field advantage. So instead of us having to go out and meet with, go to other trade shows, go to other conventions, now we have folks coming to Cleveland and we're able to show the best of what's going on. I think Case Western Reserve University, the Cleveland Clinic, and University hospitals have just been absolutely central to what's gone on in Cleveland and Northeast Ohio. You now have other institutions, Metro Health, SUMA, the University of Akron, and others that have aligned with this investment into the biomedical space. So I think we have an embarrassment of riches, right, in terms of probably north of $700 million of annual research going through Northeast Ohio institutions, and so they really are a very key driver. And it's not only the research that's happening there, but the talent they bring into town. So the ability to attract world-class clinicians, world-class investigators, world-class professors, brings world-class students. And I think we're seeing through the statistics that we're a top 5 city now in terms of brain gain rather than brain drain.